We're going to be interviewing refugees from Area 51, extraterrestrial I can't say. Hey, what's happening, man? This Tip T.I. Harris here. And, as you may already be familiar with, I am quite opinionated on many different subjects, but I haven't necessarily had quite the forum to properly express and convey these messages to you without interruption, okay? So what we're going to do right now, man, is we're going to set the stage and create a platform, and let's call it a podcast of sorts, for lack of better terms. And we have to call it a name. We have to give it a name. Let me see. How about expeditiously? I like that word, and you guys seem to like it when I use it, so we're going to name the show expeditiously. We're going to attack topics and break down subjects that need to be addressed in our community, and we're going to do that. We're going to get to the bottom of this expeditiously, okay? The most honest answer to why I'm getting into a podcast is because I got a lot to say. And I feel like the world needs to hear it. You know what I'm saying? I've been quiet for too long, if you can call what I've been doing quiet. But I don't think that there's enough uninterrupted dialogue for people to articulate their views and perspectives, and for others to be able to analyze and observe. Because this is all revolves around the fact of me being right about everything all the time. Well, I have been labeled, categorized, compartmentalized, and kind of stereotyped as being many things. One of which being a rapper. I hate the term rapper, you know what I'm saying? Because people throw that shit around so loosely now. It's kind of like, okay, so a dude who just put up one video on YouTube and collecting $675 every 2 months off of his views, if he's a rapper, then what the hell you expect to call me? Because we can't be the same thing. We have to classify ourselves much different. We have to distinguish. I think that is I have a problem with the term rapper. Let's call it entertainer, performer, artist. You know what I'm saying? Also actor. I've been in movies. You know what I'm saying? People watch them. You dig? Then you have also people call me an activist, but I don't like that term, simply because I feel like there are people who are everyday boots on the ground, man, doing the dirty work that they don't get paid for, that's not glamorous, and they're not rich and don't live as luxurious as I do. So I don't really tend to use that word for myself, but I've heard it thrown around. Father, husband, television star, reality show. I call it a family documentary. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a reality show, because again, that term's being thrown around very loosely. And if you call Love and Hip Hop a reality show, or you call Flavor of Love a reality show, then what the hell are you gonna call what I do? Because that's not what I do. You dig what I'm saying? We have to distinguish ourselves, kind of separate myself from the others. Man, nothing like drop top Rolls Royce soaking up sunshine in the California sun, man. There's nothing like that. I like to look at the beach. You dig what I'm saying? I don't necessarily like to go. I don't like sand in my shoes and shit. You dig what I'm saying? But I like to look at it. I like to be on a nice penthouse balcony to be able to say, you know what, look, that's the beach, and I could go if I want to. I ain't got shit else to do. I could really go down there and I could sit out at the beach all day if I want to, but I won't. I'd rather do this. You know what I'm saying? I think that I also spending time with my kids, playing tricks on them. Watching them form their personalities and opinions and perspectives on the world, and that's dope. And also, I think binge watching comedians in cars getting coffee. I enjoy that show probably more than I should. I enjoy that. Bowling is cool. You dig what I'm saying? Bowling is cool. Traveling is phenomenal. I definitely enjoy finding new places with nice weather and no mosquitoes, where I can, allocate my time accordingly to the things that I like to do that would bring me pleasure throughout my day. Let's see here. I also like, I really, more than leisure things, I really like to create. You know what I'm saying? I think I'm a bit of a creative. I like to take ideas and bring them out of my head into fruition and see them flourish. I did not prepare for my first podcast. I walked in, sat down, and had a conversation, man. I had some, brief topics, some loose topics of discussion that I had laid out in front of me, and I had people around me that I felt like could contribute to the conversation accordingly. And man, we just got into it. I think, man, with too much preparation, it loses a tad bit of authenticity. So I like to just sit down and, just say what's on my mind and hear what's on other people's mind and have us come to a conclusion. How am I going about choosing my guests? I think topics of discussion, by way of topics of discussion, I think that certain guests have more enlightenment on certain areas of conversation than others. And I just like to err on the side of experience. You know what I'm saying? I want to have people on the show who can speak eloquently about their life experience and how they've been affected by certain subjects and topics. I just think that that's the way that we kind of break through barriers and institute some level of change. My dream guest, Barack Obama. I'd love to, I'd love to have me and my old lady sit down with him and his old lady and just kind of compare, how we work versus how they work. I want to see how far off I am. I would love for other people to kind of have a peek into the discussions that I have with other people, like, say, Dave Chappelle. You know what I'm saying? Dave and I have very, very, introspective conversations. I would love to sit down with Seinfeld. I would love to. I think that I love to sit down with comedians, period. I think that the perspective of a comedian of what makes things funny, you know what I mean? That's just such interesting dialogue. I would enjoy that. I also want to ask the Trump supporters, if they really, how's it going for you? You know what I'm saying? Do you really, this what you had in mind? I would love to ask that, I think the best question to ask a Trump supporter is, what part of history are you trying to go back to? When you say make America great again, like when? You mean when women couldn't vote? Or when you mean Jim Crow, segregation? You talking about way back when, you talking about smallpox to the Native American days, or slavery? What day, what time are you talking about for real? You know what I mean? And you never get an answer. But it's interesting, the journey to get to nowhere is just interesting to me. Also, Jane Elliott. If you're not familiar with Jane Elliott, she was a retired educator that came up with the brown eye, blue eye experiment back in the 60s. She's been on Oprah, and she really upsets the mentality and mindset of white supremacists. The idea of white supremacy, her idea is that there's one race, and that's the human race, and anybody else who use color and other kind of things to separate us are just doing it for their own personal benefit. So I would love to have me and Jane Elliott sit down with the most notorious white supremacists that there are, and I would just love to have a conversation, a logical conversation about the basis of their mindset. Why? You say you're superior, but why? Let's break it down. Let's compare that to facts. You know what I mean? Maybe you might sell me on the shit. You know what I'm saying? I might walk out and be like, man, I see the light. I had it wrong all this time. Hey, say, man, check out expediTIously. New episodes every Thursday, exclusively on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne. You dig?